It wasn't only a reaction on the internet. Exploded as soon as the program was broadcast. It seemed as though social media had been set, burning with a snow-woke match. The reimagining the well-known show The Simpsons had just delivered its scathing satire of its most vicious parodies in years, and it wasn't ambiguous, subtle enough to be imperceptible. Rachel Zegler was specifically targeted by this, and everyone saw it on the HD TV on the wall. Which of all the parodies is the fairest? Princess with a speech during a press junket regarding putting leadership before love and refusing to be saved by a movie and a prince, thus self-righteous and forceful it failed. It was all there, straight from the television. And if you were even somewhat acquainted with the Snow White fiasco in real life, a decoder ring was not necessary to figure. Excuse me, but I didn't know who they were skewering. Your curtain, please let me assist you. Your videos were a huge assistance to TikTok. Prior to the credits rolling, users placed adjacent to Rachel's the prince's notorious interview quotes. Next to a stalker, it's not 1937 anymore. To an animated princess who was rambling on about breaking down patriarchal discourses whilst woodland animals looked at their watches. It was a blood sport, not just a joke. When it struck, but Snow White's the one. The fairest thing I've ever seen, and there's a Channel 9's Weather Girl, whose one Fox source even gave a direct description of it. Not much needed to be invented. We just observed the tour of the press, but what made this satire didn't just land like a bomb. That it made fun of the performance, it made fun of the character as Rachel Zegler's rendition. The populace had become weary of the archetype of the girl boss went all out, overflowing with lecture-ready soundbites, and the impression of condescension. Please don't give me your white savior complex. Need nothing from someone such as. Yes, it was a cartoon, but millions of people. In a few of hours, Rachel, it was also a mirror. Zed was popular, but not because of a film or... No, she wasn't a clapback or even a new role. Popular since one of the most recognizable shows throughout history had successfully transformed her into a national satirical pop joke. Culture rose stuff, such as takedown from which you are difficult to recover. The most outrageous element was that Fox didn't blink. Retractions, no regrets, and no changes. They broadcast it, they supported it, and they allowed. As the commotion develops, Rachel's. When the quiet started, what would you do? Tell people who are simply a little too. Now that you're reviewing the movie, you've put a lot of effort into it. Here, everything is fine behind the scenes. Allegedly became ugly, according to insiders, as soon as Rachel Zegler noticed fragments from the Simpsons episode in which she didn't simply become angry after she supposedly lost. According to one story, she was genuinely shuddering, pacing, and yelling in shock while she observed the farce playing out over. She wasn't on every social media platform or screen. She wasn't dismissing it when she laughed, was enraged and wanted it removed. She apparently called her representatives. Instantly, not merely to rant, but to take action. Desperately, hard, fast, and numerous insiders stated that she gave her team instructions to get in touch with Disney, Fox, even the creators of The Simpsons. Ask straightforward questions. At the very least, scrub the show or paper pull it. The persona that was obviously a little too obvious from her. And this wager is identical to the initial one. Too difficult as well, but what she entered. Perhaps her reaction was the instant she understood she was no longer in charge of the story that a Fox source allegedly planted. The episode has locked it like this. Broadcast, we're not pulling satire. Translation of anything, you are not allowed to. After the punchline, modify The Simpsons. Lands, at which point Rachel became silent. But not because she purportedly wanted to. Her group rushed to choose what to do next. Actions, according to some accounts, calls were placed. Behind closed doors, a discreet investigation by a complimentary check-in from a top Disney Agent 1 makes statements that aren't even validated. A senior Disney executive subtly recommended. Perhaps the representation went too far. Fox's reply was courteous but firm. No changes. No excuses. No talk in the interim. Whispers said that Rachel's camp was, while in damage control mode, there was discussion about releasing an ambiguous statement, perhaps a tweet. About responding to criticism, perhaps a humorous post to reinterpret the story, but in the end, they decided, I can also be silent and have the finest moment and wishing at the same time. People would cease threatening to kill me, dangers that, in a society preoccupied with, rather than reading as power, the reply read as panic, and this is how her quiet turns out. Simply made the story more well-known. Began to inquire, why doesn't she tell? Why is Disney keeping her silent? She did it out of fear of making it worse. The incident was so intense that there was just no way to return since. When you become a punchline in comedy, sometimes no is the loudest answer. Answer it all, let's face it, the Simpsons didn't merely make fun of, performed surgery to disassemble Rachel's glures. Public perception and the rationale for the spoof struck so forcefully that it didn't need to get there. Simply mirrored the animated princess in Do You Have Any Dwarves in Your Life, Snowoke? Tale. Yeah, but they are original to me. The reinvention of a creation wasn't some. She was Rachel, a haphazard, over-the-top remark, sifted through a press of yellow skin, a scowl on tour and a script leaking in. Episode after episode of smugness reflected the precise critiques that have plagued. Since her Snow White publicity tour, Zegler, the caricature princess then bursts into every query is debunked by press junket with monologues on dismantling and equity. The prince is referred to as toxic by patriarchy, deadpans to the camera and archetype. I am not here to receive love, rather I am here to sound recognizable due to the internet seemed too familiar. This was a roast based on fiction. It's not hilarious in the video, Bart. Millions of young females would believe that. This is how you should behave, actual quotes. Genuine stance and tone, and that's what made it harsh, which the authors didn't require. To distort the reality, they simply had to. Observe TikTok, and it continued the devastating red carpet scene from the premiere. Cameras with lights blazing and not a single one of the theater's patrons. A solitary man claps and murmurs, I miss the old princess, and exits the film within. The episode fails miserably, just like in real life. The last blow comes next. Having a breakdown on Krusty's late Rachel Z. display, yelling at the audience for misinterpreting her brilliance previously, stumbling over a stack of prohibited fairies, stories that she had previously labeled troublesome. It's more than simply a joke. Replay of everything that went wrong. Audiences off initially, I simply imply that 1937 is no longer the case and that we certainly penned a Snow White, that is. She will not be rescued by the She won't be saved by a prince. She won't be with the prince. She's having dreams about genuine love. Regarding taking on the role of leader, she knows she can be, but this is the reason it was cruel. It didn't make fun of the persona she played it. Making fun of the persona she became well known, not Snow White. Rachel, not Maria from West Side Story. Z, the character the activist adopted. Actress who appeared more intrigued by moral superiority above the charm of movies, and when that was reflected back by The Simpsons, with a laugh track and a sneer, they nodded without flinching, since the satire's truth is what makes it teeth, and it bit down hard this time. After the show concluded, the internet, a field day was had by roared reaction channels. Edits on TikTok spread like wildfire. One would expect Rachel Zegler to reply, say anything you want, send a tweet, or quote repost that might even be ambiguous. An Instagram story about deciding to be peaceful, or not encouraging negativity, but rather, there's no radio silence, you know. The first cartoon was released in 1937, and it's clear that she didn't simply be silent. She disappeared, and that's what caused the moment to get louder. Rachel vanished from the discussion. The rumors went wild. Was she under a Disney was in a hurry to plug the gag order. Was this the first PR leak, or was there another one? At one point, Rachel was genuinely unsure about what to mention, that this wasn't a YouTuber. This was more than just another time to call her out. This backlash video included The Simpsons and being made fun of on a show that has been removed. Presidents, tech billionaires, and elites in Hollywood who don't feel like insult that like an obituary. According to insiders, the quiet wasn't. Strategically, one source was taken aback, claimed that she was deeply shaken and not only by the satire, but also by how fast it became the main focus of a story on her romance with a man who actually follows her around. Strangely, she wasn't popular because she was trending for anything fresh she did, for what everyone was already convinced of, and the Simpsons remained the same. Verified them with jokes in the interim. There were murmurs behind the curtain of sessions that her team allegedly discussed, strategies for damage control in the event that she claps, respond humorously, return if she were to produce a sympathetic podcast, interview and take back the story. All options were presented, however none were selected because, at a time when the world's most, you become a meme because of an iconic cartoon, no. Although planning seems appealing, not every step. The quiet could exacerbate the situation. Remained silent, told no tales. Behind the scenes, pictures taken on the set only. A public figure's uncanny silence. Abruptly stopped telling her own story, but this is the issue with quiet in Hollywood rarely comes out as wise. Reads as they discovered fans in a hideaway. People, our rights are at stake. Rights to reproduction. Get your Cheshire cat and cast your ballot for blue. And if you don't share this opinion, simply press the unfollow button. Where is Rachel turned into a genuine remark trend, not out of curiosity, rather than worry, as if the drama's star had departed the stage mid-scene, and whether or not she intended to. The storm was not calmed by her leaving. It was verified when Rachel Zegler tugged. Disney discreetly followed suit there.